The resume is the first thing a company will see about you. Whether you fit the position or not in this initial phase, the resume screening will be determined by your resume. Therefore, having a resume that lacks nothing is essential. So stay in this video because we are going to see part by part what your resume should include. So let's get started. Hello, I am John Charles. I work in human resources and I am here to give you a hand. The first thing you need is a good template to make your resume. It is true that you can do it freely, open Word and start designing your own resume, but this will take you a lot of time and it is very likely that the result will not be the best possible. So if you are not very good at designing copy, you can use templates that various designers have already made and that are available for free. I give you two alternatives, Canva and Word. In this video that I leave here, you can see step by step how to make the resume in Word. Additionally, on the internet, there are many sites where you can find various free resume templates. I will leave some links in the description box. Now that you have a good template to create your resume, let's look at the different parts you should include. On YouTube and various websites, you can find a lot of information about what to include and what not to include, but I work in human resources, so I'm going to tell you exactly what we recruiters pay attention to. Let's go over the different parts that your resume should include. First, the photo. It is true that there are many places where it is not necessary to include a photo. In some countries, like Anglo-Saxon ones, it is not necessary to include a photo. In fact, it is very likely that if you do include one, you will be directly discarded. This is done because in those cultures it is understood to be discriminatory. But in our Latin culture, both in Spain and in the different countries of Latin America, this notion does not exist. So I advise you that if you are not applying to a country where you should not include a photo, include your personal photo in the resume. But if you are going to include your photo in the resume, make sure it is specifically taken for your resume, a professional photo. So avoid recycling old photos or those photos where you look very good, but you're with your friends and thinking about cropping yourself out. Don't do it. That looks terrible and is not suitable for a resume. By the way, here is another video where we have shown how you can take a good photo for the resume. But some advice I can give you is to use a device with good quality. Nowadays, any phone has more than enough quality to take this type of photo. Personally, I advise you to use the portrait mode on your phone and to distance yourself from the background so that it is slightly blurred, allowing us to focus on the defined part of the photo, which will be your face. Ideally, if you don't have a professional light like the one I'm using for this video, take your photo with natural light and avoid taking photos on a completely clear day because it will create many shadows on your face. Instead, it is much better to use natural light on a cloudy day because the clouds will give you soft light, like the one I have right now, and you will avoid very harsh lights or strong shadows on your face. The contact information in your resume is crucial. Without contact information, having a very good resume is useless because the recruiter won't know how to reach you. So this is one of the most important parts of your resume. What information should you include? Well, as the redundancy suggests, it's the contact information, which is not the same as personal information. Personal data is information that is protected by law and speaks about you in a very intimate way, such as what your ID number is, what your exact address is, what your sexual orientation is, or your religious or political orientation. None of this information is necessary in the resume. Instead, you should use contact details that allow the recruiter to get in touch with you, which are basically your phone number, your email address, and your LinkedIn profile. You can also include the country you are in or the locality if it is important for the job to be performed in person. For example, if they are looking for someone to work in person in the city of Madrid, it is great if you state that you live in the city of Madrid. And if you are looking for a job in that location but are not currently living there, put it anyway because it is where you want to live. Otherwise, it is very likely that they will discard you because they prefer candidates who are already living in that location. 2001. Additionally, if you have any other information that speaks about you in a professional manner, such as your own website, you can also include its URL in your contact details because it provides very important information about you. The summary or your professional summary is an optional part, but I would say it is practically mandatory. It is a brief summary of who you are, what you are looking for, and how you are professionally. This information is very useful to the recruiter because with a single glance they can get to know you superficially and determine if they are interested in you for the position they are looking to fill. However, this part can also be a string of data that adds no value, so be very careful. When you are writing your summary, I advise you to talk about who you are, what you can contribute, and what you are looking for. I'm leaving this video here where I teach you how to answer the question, tell me about yourself in an interview, because basically the summary of your resume is a summary of what you can answer to this question. So take a look and you will surely have a much better idea in detail of how you can create this section. Academic training. Your studies determine the knowledge base of what you can contribute to a company. Therefore, if you have studies that are relevant to the position you are applying for, it is very important to detail them in your resume. For example, if you are applying for a position as a selection technician and you have a degree in psychology, this is very relevant. But on the other hand, If you are applying for a nursing position, it makes no sense to mention that you have previously worked as an engineer. Even if it is the training you actually did before redirecting your career towards nursing, it is not relevant and does not contribute anything to this position. If you have many different and varied studies and are now focusing on a specific profession, it is not necessary to include the entire list of additional or accessory training you have. Go directly to what will add value to this position and do not include anything that does not contribute to this resume. You can instead create different resumes with different focuses for the various professions you want to approach. The work experience section is undoubtedly the most important one. If you have outstanding experience in a specific area, it is very important to highlight it in your resume because it is your greatest value proposition. You should include 3 fundamental pieces of information in your experience. The first is the position you have held, and when I say the first, it means it is the first thing you should put. The second thing is the dates you have been working, with the month and year of start and the month and year of end. That is more than enough. So we are telling the recruiter, first of all, what we have worked on and how much experience we have. Thirdly, we can include the company where we have performed these functions. And with this, it is enough to put the heading of the professional experiences you have. After this heading, you should list the tasks you have performed in the position and the achievements you have reached. I repeat, list the tasks and functions you have had and the successes you have achieved. And make these successes as concrete as possible, and if you can include numbers, even better. For example, sales ratios, percentage of improvement, reduction of turnover, and ultimately, any success or achievement you have accomplished. This tells the recruiter that you have experience, that you are very professional in your field, and that you have achieved things. So, you are likely a very important asset for them because you have something to offer. And that is exactly what companies are looking for, people who have something to offer and can demonstrate it. Your language proficiency is important. Usually, English is the most in-demand language, but if you know any other language or don't know English, don't worry. List exactly the languages you are proficient in on your resume. In addition to the languages in which you have a certain level, it is essential that you include exactly the level you have. Avoid star or dot charts because they are not exactly professional and do not specifically indicate your level. The level you should include is the one accepted internationally, which is specified with the letters A, B, or C, with C being the lowest level and the highest level. And within these levels, they're A, B, B, and C, C, with 1 being the lowest level and 2 being the highest level. So, if you are bilingual, it is very likely that you have a level closer to C, and if you have an intermediate level, you will be in B or level B. If you are not very sure about your language level, there are different academies that can test you when you go to class with them. This is enough for the resume, the languages you know and your proficiency level. The section for other information is completely optional, meaning it is not necessary to include it. But if you are going to include this section in your resume, I advise you to do so because you have other data that is truly relevant to the position you are applying for. Or if it is something not directly related to the position, at least make sure it is something truly noteworthy. For example, if you are the canoeing champion of Spain, this is absolutely noteworthy, even if you are applying for any type of job and in any type of selection process. Why? Because there are very few people who have achieved a sports milestone of this nature, and this gives you something unique. And in addition to a series of other skills that other people may not have developed as much as you have, precisely because you achieved that milestone, skills that will transfer to the job. For example, leadership ability, teamwork, or communication. And that's all. I hope you now know which parts to include in your resume to have a truly high-quality resume. Remember that you can share the video with people who might be interested. And if you like this content, you can subscribe to the channel to see more like this. That's all. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.